Hey, what's going on, people? This is just a quick pop-up. I want to just kind of really dig into something and really get an understanding and give understanding. Because what I'm starting to notice is I see so many things that's happening because of this particular situation, and it's causing manifestations in not in a good way. It's not really a good thing. But there are so many people that's walking around with anger from unresolved issues, trauma, disappointments, physical abuse, verbal abuse, SA, and you understand the acronyms of that, and just hurt from our parents, hurt from just the ways of life, things that have really taken place in our lives. We've been hurt by other people. And what's going on is you have so many people that's walking around with unforgiveness and hidden anger. And it is showing up in ways that I'm going to explain throughout this video. Like I said, I'm not going to be long. But if you're a person that like to take notes, or you want to kind of go over a few things, I'm going to read from Hebrews chapter 12 is verse 14 to 15. And I want to pay attention because there's something in this verse. There's two things that really stuck out to me that's dealing with this. And I'm going to read it. Verse 14. Pursue peace with everyone and holiness. Without it, no one will see the Lord. Make sure that no one falls short of the grace of God and that no root of bitterness springs up, causing trouble and defiling many. Now, one of the things it says root of bitterness, and I like the way the author used that term. Now, we don't really know who wrote the book of Hebrews. There are a lot of people who've alluded to it, but they're not sure. But the way the author used that word root of bitterness, because you can be bitterness, but you can be bitter, but there's a root or the source cause of a thing. And anytime you are planting something, whether you're planting a garden, a tree, there's always a root system that has to permeate first, and it has to develop. It has to gain traction, has to create a strong foundation in order for that plant to grow. Because every farmer knows that the only way your crop or plants is going to survive, it has to be in secure soil, and it has to be planted efficiently and effectively, and it has to develop a root system. Because if a storm comes, the wind will move it around, but it will never come undone because the root system is so intertwined with the ground, you don't have to worry about anything moving. The devil knows this too. So what he does is he wants to make it hard for us to forgive, because he knows if we don't forgive other people, God is not going to forgive us. And the root system, it develops from seeds of offense. Like I said, whether you've been disappointed by people, when you've been disappointed by family members, you've experienced trauma, any form of offense, he tactfully used those things because it creates a root system down in your soul. So sometimes you'll get somewhere and people say, oh, well, time heals all wounds. No, it don't. Forgiveness heals all wounds. Because if that thing is rooted in you, you probably dealt with the symptom, but you haven't uprooted what was in you or planted in you. See, anything that has a root system still has the potential to grow or regrow. So that's why the author said the root of bitterness, so it will not spring up and cause trouble. Because so many people are walking around with unforgiveness and anger, and they are mad at the people that hurt them. They can't believe what goes on. But let me explain to you the tactic of the devil and how he operates. This is one of his favorite spirits that he used to attack people. Anybody that's dealing with unforgiveness, or you have that bitterness on the inside of your soul, he used a particular spirit that's called memory recall. Now, I know that sounds crazy. You like, that's pretty normal. No, trust me, it is a particular spirit he used. Memory recall. And what that spirit is designed to do is it replays all of the negativity that has happened in your prior life, whether you was an adolescent, you was a kid, maybe a young adult, things you didn't know, and you beat yourself up because you felt vulnerable and nobody was there to help you. You try to go and explain things to people, and it's like they shot you down because they didn't believe you. They thought you was just talking. And all of that festered up in you, and you try to figure out, well, Lord, why? So you go on with your life. You get married, you get a job, you have kids, you're on your way to trying to do better. But it's that one thing that keep holding you back, that keep hindering you. And it's because you have not forgiven those people. But he uses that spirit because all it does is replays the hardships. It replays the difficulty. It replays that moment that took place to where you couldn't believe. It replays the grief. And he uses that because your emotions are attached to that memory. So if he can get you to walk around angry all day, that's his goal. Because anytime you harbor unforgiveness, anytime you harbor anger and you don't want to forgive or you don't know how to forgive, you give the devil legal right and jurisdiction to torment the hell out of you. So you have so many thoughts that bombard your mind to the point it plays on your emotions to where you could be fine one moment and you turn around and you pissed off at somebody because you didn't get rid of that bitterness. See, but the thing about it is you can't sit around and wait for people to come and apologize to you. What if that apology never comes? Then what? You're going to live your life in turmoil like that? See, that's why at the start of that, I love how the author put the scripture in the text. He said, pursue peace with all men. Pursue means to chase after, to follow. In other words, God has given us the responsibility, no matter who hurt you, you chase after going and make it right with that person. I don't care if they walked out on you. I don't care if they betrayed you. I don't care if they spoke against you. I don't care about none of that. You chase after and pursue making things right. A lot of people don't know. That's why a lot of y'all are sick. And I'm going to be real with you. The reason why you sick and you dealing with stuff that you don't realize, well, I never dealt with this problem. Well, I don't know why I'm going to the hospital. I don't know what's going on. You want to know why? Because you're harboring anger. You thought you got over it, but you didn't. I'm going to tell you like a pastor told, he spoke and preached one day, and I'm going to go over that story. He said, you forgave with your mouth, but you didn't forgive with your heart. And I was like, ooh. And that's a quick story time. So I got out here to Houston. I go to a particular church. I've already, have been well established in there. And it's a pretty big church. But I was just dealing with a lot around that time. And the first year I moved to Houston, I was checking my blood pressure because my blood pressure just kept spiking. And that was abnormal because I don't have blood pressure issues, thank God. But I don't have issues with my blood pressure spiking. I don't deal with hypertension. So that was abnormal. I was like, why? What is going on? So I was at CVS and I decided to check my blood pressure. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it read like 147/98. That's not normal for me. Mine is normally maybe 135/80 or something like that. That's normal for me. But that was abnormal. So I went to my mom's house because I was staying with her at the time. And my mom is a registered nurse. She's a respiratory therapist, but she's had experience, in nursing. And so she checked my blood pressure with the actual manual blood pressure cuff. And she was like, well, Reg, yeah, your blood pressure is elevated. I don't know what's going on. Are you eating right? Are you exercising? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I haven't had any issues. And time went on, and off and on, it would have, my blood pressure would spike. And I never understood why, because like I said before, I don't have any issues with my blood pressure. So last year, like I said, I was going to a particular church, but there was one church that was like literally 5 minutes up the road from where I was staying at the time. And God kept telling me, hey, you need to go over there. And I'm like, okay, God, that don't make sense. I already belong to a church that you sent me to. He was like, I know, you need to go over there. So I passed by for a couple of months. I still didn't go. So one day I decided, I told my wife, I said, hey, God is leading us to just go to this church. And God told me it's not meant for you to join. It's just there's something there you're supposed to get. I was like, all right, cool. So we go to the church and I'm thinking, okay, well, good service. I go again and again. And on that third time that I went, that morning I was prepping before I go to church, getting up, getting dressed, having me a cup of coffee. That's just my routine. So I get up. And the whole time while I'm kind of just getting my thoughts together and gathering, God kept dealing with me about forgiveness. He kept putting it on me. But the way he presented it to me was like I was teaching a sermon. And normally when he does that, that's him trying to communicate something with me. So I was like, okay, Lord. But he had been dealing with me about it. I'm like, okay, Lord, I forgave already. Like, why do you keep bringing it up to me? And I'm going to be real with y'all. I started getting angry because I'm like, I thought we dealt with this. And he kept dealing with it. So that third time, that Sunday, I go to church. And that pastor preached about unforgiveness. And everything that he said was exactly what God was telling me that same morning, almost verbatim. I was like, okay, it's something to this, and I'm not understanding why. I thought I forgave. I prayed, I fasted, and I released it out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, Lord, I forgive. No, you didn't. I'm like, okay. And that's when that pastor said that. He said, some of you, you thought you forgave, but you forgiven with your mouth, but you didn't forgive with your heart. I was like, oh. And it hit different because I never thought of that. I was like, okay. And in my mind, I was like, let this man call an altar call. I'm going to that altar because now I see why God led me to this church temporarily. I went to the altar. He couldn't even say, come to the altar good enough. I jetted to the altar. I laid on there. I prayed. I cried my eyes out. I was like, okay, Lord. And it was about 5 different people that was working the altar, and they all laid their hands on me and, other people. And every time one person laid their hand and they took it off, I felt a weight lift. Every single person, I felt a weight just lift. I got my deliverance. I got my breakthrough. And when I tell you, the things that I had been waiting on just started dropping. It started falling in line. Like, my wife and I was just so blessed. Still is, thank God. But just around that time, everything just started working out exactly how it was supposed to be. And because I got that stuff off of me, and it felt so good. And I went back, I started checking my blood pressure. Blood pressure was normal. I think it was like 132 over 70 something, 78, if I can remember right. You got to understand, when you harbor unforgiveness causes certain sicknesses in our body. And if you don't deal with it over time, it will create things in your nervous system. And now you're dealing with health issues that you normally didn't deal with because you're still harboring anger. You can go and look this up. Go to Johns Hopkins University. They say that people that walk in constant forgiveness, they are way more healthier than people that hold grudges. This is a scientific fact. So this is not just me saying this. You can go Google this yourself. So if you having health problems and it seems like it's difficult for you to deal with things, or you have hypertension, sometimes people have early set on arthritis, or you start having like cysts and growth in your body, you are harboring anger and unforgiveness, and it manifests itself through sickness and disease. And God is saying right now, you can heal your own self. You're praying to God for healing. You can heal your own self if you just forgive. When you have unforgiveness, you put yourself in a mental prison. And God is saying, here's the key to let yourself out of prison. All you got to do is forgive. And certain people will rather hold on to grudges than to sit up there and let it go, because you think harboring unforgiveness and forgiving those, it makes you look like a coward, or it makes you look weak. Or with some of us men, I ain't finna forgive. I'm too tough for that. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't look. Man, you missing the biggest point. When you walk in forgiveness, you can extend the length of your life. But the only reason why people are dealing with so many different health issues is because you are harboring and keeping those things in and those feelings. And every time the devil uses memory recall to keep those things up, you get pissed all over again. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe the devil is whooping your behind and you letting him. You ain't throwing no hands back. You ain't getting in your Bible. You ain't fasting. And if you are doing it, you still doing it with the grudge. Some of y'all right now, you mad at God. You're mad at God because you feel, well, if God is so good and God is just so amazing, as people tell me that he is, and I got to go to church and praise and worship and blah, 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 blah. And you don't say it, but it's in your soul. But if God was just this good, why he let this happen to me at the age of 13? Or if God is just so amazing, then why he allowed this to happen to my child whenever they turned 15 or whenever they was 8? Well, if God is just so good, see, but the only reason why you go to church is because you want a genuine relationship with God. You really do. But you got a unspoken grudge against him, because you wonder why God left you vulnerable, and you putting your blame in the wrong direction. You need to be blaming the devil, because you got to understand some of the things that happen to us is because of generational curses. It's not because God wasn't there to protect you. Some things because your great-grandfather or your great-grandmother and your grandfather and certain things that were passed down, see, they probably had a legally binding contract in the spirit realm, and it created a bloodline curse, and it fell straight into your generation. So everybody started dealing with the same thing. Some people were And I sympathize with you when I say this, so please don't take offense to it. Some people dealt with molestation. Your mother was molested. Your mother's mother was molested. That's not God that did that. That's because there were generational curses as far as going down that bloodline. That's why even in the Bible, I believe it's called the sins of the father. Some things that our father's father did, we're dealing with the things that they set into place. And if you don't have nobody to break that generational curse, it's going to continue to happen because the devil has legal right and he has a contract to where he can initiate trauma, disappointment, hurt, inadequacy, insecurities. Like, he has the right to do that. And if it's not broken, it's going to continue to happen. So don't get mad at God. You got to take that thing to the Lord through the altar and ask the Lord, give me the strategy on how do I break the generational curse in my family? Like, I come from a long line of alcoholics. I can't drink too much because I know I'm going to fall into that same category. So I'll have a glass of wine here and there with my wife, but I can't overdo it because I know my habit. And I've been in that habit before. And I'm just being real with y'all. But I got to pull back, and I can't do all of that stuff because I know where it's going to lead. But you got to understand, y'all, man, please forgive these people. Even if you don't get a chance to call them on the phone, take it to God and be like, God, strengthen my heart so I have the capacity to forgive. You want to, here's the foundation of the best way to forgive. Here's the foundation. You pray for those individuals, but you don't just pray. Call their name out while you're praying. The very people that did the most despicable things to you, call their name out in prayer. See, I'm gonna back that up with scripture. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 44, bless them. It says, love your enemies. Bless them that hate you, that curse you. Do good to those that hate you. Pray for those that persecute you and despitefully use you. So to every negative inquiry, you're supposed to have a positive response. You don't ever repay evil with evil, because you don't possess the character of God. See, people think just because you walk in the fruits of the Spirit and you really live in this thing, oh, when you don't want to look like this weak person and da 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 da. No, that's called walking in the fruits of the Spirit. I'm not saying let people walk over you or disrespect you, but you have to walk in constant forgiveness. Because see, when you have an individual, let me say it like this. God has granted me, and I give God all the glory on this. I don't take accountability or account for this. There's multiple gifts that God has given all of us, but there's one particular one that I wish so many other people would have. When God gifts you with the gift of discerning of spirits, or some translations say the gift of distinguishing of spirits, meaning you know what's from God and you know what's from the devil and you know what's from a person's flesh. And some people think that I don't have that gift, and it's okay. I'm not trying to be prideful or brag about it. It's totally understandable, but some people think you don't have that gift. So whenever things happen, or you hear somebody say something, or you having a conversation, there are physical sensations that'll let you know, okay, that's from the devil. Or you have an inner knowing and like, nah, that's from that person's flesh. Or not, that's really the Spirit of God. I ain't gonna lie, they hit the nail on the head. That's coming from the Spirit. When you have that gift, you know what is what. So when you know when a demon is talking versus a person, it allows you to walk in forgiveness better than normally what you would do, because you know it ain't the person that's talking, it's the demon in the person that's talking. Okay? So learn to walk in forgiveness so you can live a healthy and a long life. Stop holding those grudges. That's why I say a lot of people don't. I'm not telling y'all, hey, y'all don't go to the doctor. No, please go to the doctor. I'm not saying that. But a lot of times you can heal your own self if you just forgive. Some people walking around right now, you got high blood pressure because you won't forgive what your parents did to you over 20 years ago. Let them go. Stop being mad at them. They only knew what they were taught to do. You got to understand the environment and the time frame of when they grew up. So they just passed that down, and they thought a lot of the things they did was right, and it wasn't. It's okay. Forgive them. Sometimes if you would just sit down and have a full-on conversation, well, why did this happen? Well, why did this happen? You'd be surprised the things that they went through and they just never told you. Let them go. Oh, my mom, she just did this to me, and I don't like such and such and such. Okay, and that's understandable, and I sympathize with you, but you got to remove yourself from that hurt. Well, my dad, he should have been there for me more, and I don't appreciate that. When I needed him, he stepped out. That's understandable. Why did he step out? See, once you understand a person, like I've had conversations with both my parents, and I don't have anything against them because I had the actual talk with them. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. That's the reason why y'all did this or you did that or this happened. And then whenever you start living your life and it almost mirrors with, how they went through stuff, then it opens up a whole new perspective. And it's like, okay, I see now. So I ain't got no grudges with none of my, either one of my parents. I love them dearly, but I had to live, and really understand why did they make certain moves. I didn't get it years ago. Forgive them. Forgive that person that hurt you, that spoke against you, that molested you, whether it was a family friend or what. I know it hurt. You went and told your mom, your dad, they shrugged it off. They act like they didn't know, they didn't care. And it wasn't that they didn't know and they didn't care. They didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to deal with it. Now, that don't make it a good excuse. I'm not saying it's a good excuse, but they just didn't know. And you felt they should have done more. You felt they should have been there, to protect you, to guard you, to cover you. Absolutely. Anybody would feel that way. And like I say, I empathize with you, but you got to let that stuff go. Let that hurt go. You got to let it go. Because if you don't, the devil is tormenting you. He is kicking your behind and you are letting him do it because you will not forgive. Get that stuff out of your soul. Get on the phone and make it right with those people. Get on the phone. I'm not saying you got to get back buddy and all friends and everything is good. No, just forgive them for your peace of mind. See, whenever you fall in the peace of God, you fall in wholeness and you come into a place of health. See, peace means good health as well, too. See, sometimes people are only dealing with physical sensations of things that they are battling mentally, and it showed up in the doctor's report or in the x-ray. That's because you won't forgive. You are so angry. See, I'm not telling people don't be angry. No, it's okay. The Bible says be angry, but sin not. It's okay. The Bible even says God is slow to anger. It didn't say he don't ever get angry. It's okay to be angry. Don't stay angry, because if you do that, then now you'll let the demon of anger take up resident in your soul. And now you just mad for no reason. You get up in the morning and you just ready to go off on somebody. That's not living life in peace. I'm sorry, I done been through too much stuff to sit up there and let somebody come in and move in on my peace. You're not going to do it. I'll cut you off in a minute and don't care how you feel about it. And it's nothing personal. I don't hate nobody, but you're just not going to disrupt my peace. And if I feel like you out of pocket, or if I discern that what you're doing is not from God, no matter how many scriptures you throw at somebody, if I know for a fact that what you're doing ain't God, okay, hey, I love you. God bless you. Bless you. I hope everything is going great. I hope the blessings of God overtake you. You're just not going to be around me. It's okay. If I'm being like that to other people, I expect people, nah, man, you tripping. You have to cut people off that's going to jeopardize your peace, because you don't want to walk in grudges. You just don't. See, and then let me bust this myth up, because I hate when people say, oh, well, unforgiveness, it'll block your blessings. No, it don't. I know people right now, as we speak, I know people that are harboring unforgiveness, and God still opened doors for them. But here, let me say this. Unforgiveness will hinder you. And if you're not careful, because I said this earlier, if you're not careful, God will allow you to live your life and live blessings, but you'll miss heaven if you don't forgive. Because the Bible says you got to forgive those people for God to forgive you. If you can't even forgive them, how you expect God to forgive you for your sin? So I would hate for you to get to the end of your life and you did all of this great work for the Lord, but because you could not forgive, God can't forgive you. And now you done missed out on heaven. because you just can't get past the husband that walked out on you. You can't get past the person that sat up there and just physically beat you into a bloody pulp. And don't get me wrong, I get it. I totally understand it. I understand it. I'm not saying this to bash anybody. I'm not saying this to come after people. I promise you, I'm saying this genuinely because I really want to help people, because I hate to watch people just be angry for no reason. It's too much. Life is already short. Why would we want to live it miserable? We shouldn't want to live it miserable. It's already hard enough. And then we want to add stuff to what we already got when God already said that life is going to be full of problems. So you're going to go through stuff, and then because you're harboring unforgiveness, you're going to add to that. That doesn't make sense. So choose to live your life in peace. And God want to heal everybody that is hurting, because you have anger there, unresolved. You have a root of bitterness. You don't probably, just because you chop a tree off, if you don't pull it out by its root, it's still going to have a root system. And see, some of us, we done been to church and we try to hide behind our spirituality, which is great, but you still have that root system, and God wants you to just dig that up. But if you give him the right to do it, he'll do it. But it's only going to come when you start to forgive these people. You got to forgive them. That is what's going to start the healing process for you. You have to forgive these people. Let that stuff go. I'm not saying you got to get back in, because see, sometimes forgiveness doesn't always require reconciliation. That's not always the case. It's a case by case situation. It does not. Because sometimes just because you forgive a person, they can still have a high level of toxicity to where if you do repair the relationship back with them, they're going to do the same thing all over again. And it be sometimes God be trying to keep you away from these people, but we, have too much of a good heart. We feel like we got to get back into, well, God will want me to do that because that's true forgiveness. No, God didn't want you to do that from the jump. If anything, he was trying to pull you away from the situation, but you kept going back into it because he saw what was getting ready to happen. So he wanted to remove you, not because that person is bad. They got some unresolved entities and demons that they need to get squared away. And once they choose to get delivered, then it's a possibility you can come back together and reconcile. If God wanted to happen, that's great. But y'all got to let these people go, man. Let them go out of your soul. So that way God can permeate the entirety of your living space. Some of us, we are keeping ourselves distant from the Lord because we got all of these grudges, this resentment, this hate. Well, I don't like you and da-da-da-da. And it's okay to not like people. You got to love them. You have to love them. But sometimes, like I said, if you just don't like them, okay, it's understandable. We're human. But you still got to love them. You have to love them. You shouldn't have hate for nobody. You may have some dislike. Okay, well, I just don't like how you move. Okay, that's fine. Because some people ain't gonna like you. That's okay. Just don't disrespect those people and don't have hate in your heart for people. Just don't do that. But please, y'all, God has given you the key to forgive, but you got to be real with you and stop hiding behind prophecy. Stop hiding behind your title. Stop hiding behind your position. Stop being so super spiritual and super religious and you still broken on the inside. Stop doing that. We got to start being real with us. Like with myself, God just showed me, he was like, okay, you forgave and that's cool, but you got unresolved grief. You still haven't dealt with that. So I was like, all right, Lord. So God made it to where I was able to get some insurance to where I don't have to come out of my pocket to pay for a therapist. So the start of the next year, I got 8 free sessions of therapy. And that's another thing. It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. Stop thinking, oh, I got Jesus, so I'm good. I ain't got to go talk to nobody. No, yes, you do. Because sometimes you need somebody to help process the things that have happened because you may not understand. Like I lost my daughter and everything just happened so fast that I didn't get a chance to really grieve her. I didn't. And so I was wondering why I was just coasting through life. I was just coasting. And God finally told me a few months back, you got unresolved grief. You got to go get that, squared away. And don't get me wrong, God has brought me from a long way, but that doesn't negate the fact that we still got to do the work on our part. See, we think God is just going to do everything. No, he says, pursue peace with all men. Chase after it. Go after it. You initiate it. Stop waiting for people to come to you. No, go after it. Hey, blessings. All right. I love you. Amen. I just want to make sure everything good. Oh, we good. Okay. I'm praying for you. Go on about your business. Pursue peace so you can be whole within yourself. That's why I say next year, I'm on it. Oh, when I tell you I'm getting therapy, because I got to like I said, I didn't have the time to grieve her. I didn't. Everything just moves so fast. Death, divorce, and then on to the next. And I'm thinking everything is so good. And then you finally get to that spot and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Dang, that's why I feel like this. Because when you have to bury your child, a part of you is gone. So you need God to help you get that together, but you need to talk to a person. I don't care who you done lost. You need somebody to help you deal with that. So that way they can give you the necessary tools to actually understand what has taken place. See, I'm being transparent myself. I got to keep it 100. I am not going to hide behind nothing. I am still dealing with that, and I didn't realize it. I did not realize it up until a few months ago. But now, since I know better, I'm going to do better. So I am praying to God about that, but I'm going to go get help as well, too. So if you're one of those people, man, go get some help. Some of y'all jobs will help you even pay for counseling. Some of your jobs will help you pay for counseling. Seriously. You may have insurance behind it. Figure that stuff out and go talk to a professional that's trained, to actually deal with those things in your soul. So that way it can help cleanse your soul. There's too many people walking around broken, man, and it bothers me. It bothers me to a level, and it's not to, oh, they just getting on my nerves. No, I hate to see that. As a person who actually has a heart for people, I hate seeing people like that. That's not healthy. That is not healthy. That bothers me. And all they got to do is just let that stuff go. We so busy trying to tell everybody else something, and we still ain't dealt with the thing. You just like I said earlier, you thought you got over it, but you didn't. I don't care how many scriptures you spit out of your mouth. I don't care how many times you go to church and lift your hands and he coming in a Hyundai and leaving in a Cadillac. You can do all of that, and God is still, because I was doing that. That's how I know I was doing that. Oh God, I thank you. And I'm still dealing with stuff. Anger, blood pressure is being affected by this stuff because I just did not forgive. And some of y'all are doing that same thing. You are hiding behind your spirituality. You trying to be everybody else's pastor, but you don't even want to sit up there and forgive the person that done stuff to you back in 2003. That was over 20 years ago. But we gotta preach to this person. We gotta teach. No, and I'm not saying that against people who have a call to preach. I'm not saying that. But even if you do have a call to preach, be transparent. Don't tell all your business, because everything ain't for everybody. Some things you need to keep between you and God. That's not hiding anything. That's you getting yourself together because you don't want to mess up somebody else's walk. But on the things that you are dealing with, man, be transparent and be real. If you think you're going to bring people into this fold because you can quote 20 scriptures and you can barely even live 4 of them, you are sadly mistaken. It's going to be based on your testimony that's going to bring people into the Lord. It ain't going to be on how many scriptures you know. It's going to be the thing that you still battling with that you don't want to tell nobody, but you hide secretly in your heart and you think people can't pick up on that. Yeah, man, you got to be real. Be transparent with people. Hey, y'all, look, I still struggle with this. There's some things, even if I don't share on here, I promise you, if I'm ministering to somebody, I'm all the way real. Like, I'm not going to sit up there and sugarcoat, hey, man, I'm struggling with this. Hey, man, like my mind is just all over the place. I'm dealing with intrusive, crazy thoughts, and I'm trying to learn how to fight the devil to keep from putting crazy stuff in my mind. Be real about that stuff. We are not perfect. I don't care how holy you feel you are. I don't care how set apart you think you are. There's still some aspects to you because you are a human. It was a gentleman that I was on the phone with not too long ago, and he said this, and I have to respect what he said. I had the same thought process. He said the only man that walked on this earth and was dubbed without sin and that was perfect is Jesus Christ. Last time I checked, ain't none of y'all Jesus. Ain't none of y'all Jesus. So stop. Stop the faking. Stop the oh, I'm so up here. Stop. You are hurting and you have anger hiding in you, and you don't want to let it be known because you don't want nobody to look at you in a vulnerable state. Let's be real. Let's be all the way real. Stop with that fake stuff, because people know when you lying. They know when you ain't being real with them, and that's a turnoff. And if you, like I said before, if you think, see, this is the reason why people don't want to go to church like that. A lot of times it ain't because they just don't want to go to church. Some cases they don't like the fake stuff they see amongst people. They can't stand it. Talk to them. I'm telling you, they'll tell you the same thing. They can't stand folks coming in acting so holy and like they don't have any issues. That bothers them. I've talked to people and they have told me that. That's how I know. I don't like to see it. I respect people that, top-notch preachers, and they can just come out and tell you, yeah, this is what I was dealing with, or I struggled, or whatever. Like I said, I ain't saying tell all your business. That's not what I'm saying. But just be real. Hey, y'all, I'm struggling. That's why I'm on here right now. I have unprocessed grief. Unprocessed grief. I got to go get that dealt with because I didn't know. But some of y'all be acting so fake. And I'm telling you, you keep staying in that lane, you're going to get exposed. Somebody going to come around you and really tell you what it is. And it ain't going to be no kumbaya. It's going to be the real deal. Stop doing that. You ain't going to get too many people. Oh, well, no, the Lord came in and God said, and he commented 100 days. Oh, stop that. Stop. Stop. Be real with these people. That's how you going to get people. We are overcome by the word of our testimony. It's going to be your testimony that's going to get these folks. The part of you that's shameful to discuss the things that have happened to you. That's what's going to pull people into Christ. Not you being fake. But I'm sorry, y'all. I don't mean to be mean. Sorry. I love you. But y'all know me. I ain't going to get on here and sugarcoat nothing. I'm sorry. If that's what you're looking for, you want people to walk on eggshells, you need to go to another channel. And I don't mean no disrespect by that. I'm being serious. But some people just need you to be honest with them, but do it from a place of love. Don't do it from a hateful place or a spiteful place. I do this because I genuinely love people and I want to see people win. But we gotta get that key and unlock our own selves from harboring unforgiveness, because it's killing y'all. I'm telling you, if you don't forgive, you're gonna end up in an early grave. You're gonna have a premature death out of here because you won't let those things go. You won't let it go. So if you want to live a long, prosperous life, start walking in forgiveness. Don't let those offenses set in all the time. I'm still working on it because I am not perfect. I know sometimes my human side could come out and be like, look now, it happens. But at the same time, on the flip side, I got to do the best that I can to be a man of God and allow the Spirit to lead. Do I get it right every single time? Nope. I sure don't. Sometimes my flesh get the best of me, but at least I'm going to be real with you. But I am on the path of working to learn how to be more spirit-led than I am led by my flesh. And by the grace of God, I've come a long way. Because if you would have seen me about 15 years ago, you'd be like, man, this dude, is something wrong with him. So I love y'all, man. Please forgive. And I'm praying for your healing. I did not expect this to go this long, but it is what it is. Like I said, I love y'all. Thank y'all. Everybody, like I said, everybody that view this channel, subscribe to it if you can. I'm going to be uploading more frequently because, yeah. So I love y'all, man. Y'all be easy. I got stuff I got to take care of because, yeah, my wife going to fuss at me if I don't. Y'all be easy.